All right, we are live. Welcome, everybody. We are going to explore in a tutorial session the Great Battles of the American Civil War series. The scenario that we have set up here is the introductory scenario from Dead of Winter, the whole game of which covers the Battle of Stones River, or Murfreesboro, if you like. And we're going to talk our way through this very short one-turn game. We're going to take our time. Joining me is Pat Mullen. Hi, Pat.
Hi, Pat. Hi, Gary.
So we are. If you check out the screen right now, I've got some stuff. The actual action of the scenario is taking place down here, sort of in the middle of the map. So up here in the upper left, I have some counters set out so that we can just talk through them. Okay. So we have essentially three different kinds of counters here. There's units, which are regiments. There's a strength marker, which goes with the unit. And then there's different grades of leader. So we'll talk about what all of these are. So here we have, let me pull up, thinking about it. Let me pull up, let's see here. It's hard to find this stuff. Anyway.
Welcome aboard, Mike Curtis. I was hoping you'd show
Mike,
up.
How's it going on?
I was like, I hope the guy who lives in Nashville shows up for this one. So, okay. So, all right, here we go.
So the colored stripe, the color of the counter itself. So there's Confederate counters are this butternut, the Union are blue. Okay, there's a colored stripe at the top which indicates either the Union Corps or the Confederate division. In this case, we have the division commander, Stevenson, and his color is that sort of medium brown or orange across the top of the counter. Okay,
right.
There are three numbers at the bottom of the counter.
Right.
So we have, in this case, 42nd Georgia. The three numbers at the bottom indicate the strength or manpower, and if the strength is reduced below the whatever the counter says, then we use one of these manpower markers to denote how many manpower remain in that unit. There is a flipped side of the unit counter that is its disorganized side.
Okay.
The middle number is the unit cohesion. Okay, so and you see when you flipped it, you see that the cohesion went down too. That's quite common. Sometimes the movement even goes down.
Yeah. So yeah, he's a 955.
Yes. Now the colored field that cohesion is in represents the brigade. Each brigade within the division will have a color code, right? So if we look at and I was looking for Stevenson here. And I kind of lost him in the parts menu. So he'll have a number of brigades that are assigned to him, and there'll be brigade leaders and stuff. And there's a command range, and we'll get to all of that. Okay. Right, and then the third number in the lower right of the counter is its movement. Now you'll see there's a cavalry unit here. It obviously has a higher movement number. There is a march mode, which we will get to, which doesn't increase the movement factor, but it changes the way in which the unit moves because they're like in road column, right? They don't actually have to be on the road, but they get a bigger bonus for it if they're on the road. Okay, so Stevenson here is, if I'm not mistaken anyway, a division commander. Okay,
yeah,
and the number here you'll see that he's 1/S. The S just means that he is part of Smith's Corps in this case. Okay.
Okay.
And then that number, the 1 in his case, is his command rating. Now he also has 3 numbers vertically on the right-hand side. Okay. The first of those is his brigade coordination rating, which we may or may not get to actually, but essentially what that is it's a roll that you have to make if you want to change the orders of a brigade. The 8 in the black circle is his command range. So basically somebody from his command has to be within 8 hexes of him. In his case, because he's a division leader, it's going to be the brigade leaders that have to be within 8 hexes of him. Okay.
So that was a question I had for you. So as we're moving here, so levels of leaders, we go down to brigade, and that's the lowest level of leader, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And so we got a division here, and then there's for the because their command systems were a little different, right?
Right.
So they're Confederate Corps, and then are there wing leaders too for the Confederates in this one, or
in this one, I'm not sure. In 3 Days at Gettysburg, no. So you have Lee, who's the army leader. In this case, Bragg is an army leader, right?
Right.
Then he's got 2 numbers. The white number in the black circle is Bragg's command range, and then the number above that is his initiative rating. Okay, now in that case, initiative is basically extra chits in the cup at the end of the day, for an army commander, right? For a lower level leader, it represents efficiency rating, which is also extra chits in the cup at the end of the day. But the army leader's extra chit can go anywhere, right? Where the division's leader's extra chit can go to one brigade from that division.
Okay, so give me that again on that final number and the number that's circled in the chits.
It's okay. So the number that's circled is the command range. Okay.
Right.
The number in the square is the activation rating.
Right.
And I'd have to remind myself exactly what that means.
So Stevens has a 1 there. Okay. I think.
Yeah. So that's his.
Or is that a 0?
That's his brigade coordination rating.
Right.
So
I mean, at the very bottom.
At the very bottom, that's the activation rating.
So he's got a 0. Okay,
yes.
Got it.
All right. The top number there is essentially extra chits in the cup. And St. Lee, who, as I recall, in 3 Days at Gettysburg, has a 1 initiative rating. That's basically 1 extra chit that can go anywhere in that army, right? Whereas, say, if a corps commander or a Union division commander has a 1, then it's just going to be in his division, right?
Right. Okay.
Right. Okay, so let's pull up.
So yeah, like there's Barton, right? And then Stevenson is in. Let me go here. Yeah, just for everybody's. There's Smith.
Yeah, actually, that's a great example because here is this guy is going to be in Barton's brigade, and you could tell because of the colored band at the bottom.
Right.
Okay.
Right. We got the yellow going on, right?
Yeah.
And then they're part of Stevenson, right? And then we got Smith. He adds an extra chit because he's got that 1 number.
Yes.
But he answers to Bragg, who gives a 0 because he's
Braxton. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool. All right. Good stuff.
All right. So that's just the basic. We are playing, by the way, with the latest version of the rules, which is the version of the rules that was released with Death Valley. So there's a couple differences on the tables that we probably shouldn't be playing with, but for the purposes of this instructional scenario, who cares? We're just going to ignore that and play with the current rules. There is at least one thing that we still have to talk about on the counters, however, which is important because it is only on the Stones River tables. Right above the manpower rating, there is a symbol or letter in a black circle. That is the weapon type that the unit has. Okay.
Okay.
So R is just an army rifle. OR is an old rifle, but there's also shotgun. There's guys with shotguns. Guess which side they're on. Muzzle loading carbines. There's also different types of artillery. So actually, I should mention that. We pull up Barton's battery here.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So the on the artillery, everything works exactly the way it does on the manpower markers, except that the 4 really doesn't represent manpower; it represents barrage strength. Okay,
got it.
H-12 in this case is a 12-pound howitzer.
Right.
Okay.
I like it.
And there's on the range effects chart, every one of those weapons has a different range. The effective absolute maximum range for like a regular rifled regiment is 7 hexes, but you're taking substantial penalties at 7 hexes too. So
got it.
And then for some of the artillery does not have a limited range. It just can shoot anywhere, and it's just whatever the penalty is.
Right, because the scale's what, 500 yards per hex, 500 meters per hex, something
like that. Yeah. I forget. It might be 550 or 600 or something like that.
Yeah,
but it's something like that
neighborhood. Okay, cool.
All right, so we need to talk about the activation markers. So in the Vassal module, there's a whole there's a draw pile, and there are activation markers. So you're going to actually have 2 cups. You're actually going to have 3 cups. There's going to be a Union efficiency cup and a Confederate efficiency cup, and then there's going to be a draw cup that's the actual chits that you draw during the turn. Okay, the number of pull up. I've got it up on the stream. Pull up the
draw pools.
That too.
All right.
Where's the Confederate order, CSA or Union order of battle?
Okay, CSA. I'll pull it up. There we go.
All right. So, we're gonna find that. By the way, the maximum efficiency you can end up with is a 4, and the minimum efficiency you can end up with is a 1 at the end of the day. All right.
Okay.
So let's say we see the Confederate activation marker sheet. Okay, and we're gonna draw for each of these commands. We're going to draw.
Where is the Confederate?
It's up under CSA OOB.
The OOB.
Yeah,
got it.
It's not really an OOB. It's the activation marker sheet.
Okay, cool.
So during the orders segment, or actually, I think this happens during the. When does this happen? This happens in the orders segment. The Confederate, you are going to draw, if we're playing the whole campaign, right? You're going to draw 4 efficiency chits from that efficiency pool, okay? And you're going to say, I'm drawing for Polk, you'll draw 1. I'm drawing for Hardy, you draw 1, and I'm drawing for Smith, you draw 1, and then you draw for Wheeler, okay?
Is that all public knowledge, or is that?
Yes, this is all public knowledge. There's no real hidden information in this.
Okay. All right.
I don't believe there is any hidden information in this. So it doesn't matter, because all that number is, like, say that's a chit with a number on it from 1 to 4. And typically the number mix available to a given side varies by game, right? So the Union in the Gettysburg game, for example, has a lot more efficiency chits because they need to draw more at some point during the battle. But their average number on those efficiency chits is lower than it is for the Confederates. That's quite a bit less true for this battle than for Gettysburg. As you can imagine, you don't have Lee in the Army of Northern Virginia. You've got Bragg in the Army of the Tennessee. Or was it Army of the Tennessee at this time?
It was yes.
Okay.
It was Army. We're talking about the Army of the Tennessee and Army of Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah.
So. All right. So what that will mean is let me pull up the Union order battle here. All right. So same deal. I'm going to draw for McCook. I'm going to draw for Thomas. I'm going to draw for Crittenden. All right. So I'm going to pull a Union chit for McCook, and we'll peek. This seems to be indicating that it's supposed to be private. Well, it's a 3. Okay. So what that means, but we get the efficiency rating of the leader. McCook gets a -1, so it's effectively a 2. So what that means then is that Davis gets the subordinate commands under McCook. Davis gets 2, Johnson gets 2, Sheridan gets 2, and then those numbers are modified by those leaders' efficiency ratings. So Davis is a +1.
So I can't see. I see a question mark for.
It's
McCook's.
just I'm not sure. I can't seem to actually reveal it. I can only peek.
Which is cool.
Well,
so
how about now?
Oh, there it goes. Yeah,
Okay,
I can see it now. All right, cool.
All right.
So I see it's a 3. So then you subtract 1, right? And then it means the baseline number for everybody below him is going to be a 2.
Right. And then to that 2, Davis gets +1, Johnson gets 0, and Sheridan gets +1. The number after the slash is the number that is in effect if that leader gets killed and his replacement has to do it.
Okay. All right. And I'm curious too. If McCook, let's say McCook gets whacked, right?
Right.
would one of those leaders then take his place? Sheridan, Johnson, or Davis?
Yes, and if we pull out McCook, let's pull out the Union. If we pull McCook out, I'm putting him up in the upper. Oh, we'll put him right on the card, actually.
There he goes.
And we flip him. That's his replacement.
Oh, very cool. I like it.
And then if this is somebody else that's also a leader on the map, and it is, you have to flip them too.
Oh,
because that guy is now running the right wing rather than running that brigade.
Right. Okay, if we get done with this little tutorial, I'm signing up for the campaign. Continue. Okay. I'm already really loving this. Okay, continue.
So let's get this guy out of here. All right, so what that number means then. So we got McCook draw 3, it's modified down to a 2. So falling down to his subordinate commanders, you have ratings of 2. So Davis gets 3, right. Johnson gets 2, Davis gets 3, Johnson gets 2, and Sheridan gets 1. So what that means then is that we go to the activation markers, all right?
Okay.
I have the AMs and EMs panel up here. So Davis gets 3. So I'm going to go find Davis's activation marker, and I'm going to grab 3 of them. And there they are. Johnson's going to get 2.
Oh, okay.
Johnson? Where the hell's Johnson?
Johnson. I'll help you out.
I see Sheridan, who's also going to get 3. Unless there's some kind of scenario-specific rule for Johnson that I'm not recalling, which does not appear to be the case. No.
All right, let me Simon. I said.
So Russo, Negley. Okay, yeah. So I'm on under activation markers, which is what we're looking for. And then I'm looking under Union AMs. AM is activation marker. It is a Berg system, so it's got a lot of acronyms.
Yeah. What I'm doing now is real quick because it won't take that long. All right. So Palmer. I'm throwing down everybody who's in here. Wood.
Yeah, I see everybody but Johnson. So I don't know if that's another module hiccup or what.
I'm trying to see if somebody got doubled or misnamed or something like that. So that's why I'm sorting them out. It's the same way. So we got Negley.
Yeah, names are all
names are all familiar, huh? From
oh yeah,
it's the same dudes. All right, then we got Reynolds and Davis. You already have out. Sheridan.
Here's Rousseau.
Kennett. There's no Kennett, is there?
There is.
Where's Kennett?
Kennett's on the list.
Yeah, but he ain't on the OOB. And is there a Morton?
I don't see Morton either.
So let's pull him out and see what he is. Is he Cav? The Pioneers.
Stanley is the Cav.
Okay. And then, well, it says Kennett 1/Cav.
We might be dealing with idiosyncrasies in the orders of battle for each scenario here too. So in any case,
sure.
What happens here is we draw for each of the wings, okay, and the cavalry, and then we figure out how that number that we land on is how many chits for that unit brigade goes into the cup.
Got it. Okay.
And then at the end, in addition to one of these, this is the march orders chit, that all goes in the cup. And it's one common AM cup for both sides. Okay.
Got it. Okay. So what the OOB sheet is basically it's that day's cup building mechanism for both sides.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That hour. The turns are hourly.
Oh,
but because you can have anywhere from 1 to 4 activation markers, that kind of gives you 15-minute turns.
Got it. Okay.
Richard De Fortuna mentions that maybe we got rid of Johnson somehow when we flipped the counter, and maybe the module thinks he's dead. That's possible. So we'll restart this before we actually start playing, just so none of that gets screwed up.
We did indeed kill him. So yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. It might do that.
All right. So let's go down then. Since let's say that we've just drawn out of the cup, or the hat, the kepi, as it were. Let's say we've just drawn Woodruff's. That's artillery. That's a bad example. Let's call it. Expand this. Let's call it Vaughn's Brigade. Okay, so we've just drawn that orange chit for Vaughn's Brigade out of the cup. Okay, so that entire brigade is going to do its actions at this time. All right. They can attempt to change the orders, so they'll be under orders as well. We keep going up to the top of the map for some reason. I wonder if I have that thing on. So where are the... okay. I'm going to go down to where the units are.
Right.
All right. Are you moving? Do I have that thing on? Where's that preference that moved to...
There is none in this one. That I could find.
There isn't?
Yeah. Center. Nope.
No, I mean that it moves your point of view to the moving unit.
Yeah, that's called center on opponent's moves. I ain't seeing that.
Okay.
In the preferences, no.
All right. So anyway, you got attack orders here.
Okay.
And I'm looking for the other orders. So there's attack orders, there's advance orders, and there's march orders. So let's talk about that. All right. And the first thing you would do in an activation is, if you want, to try to change those orders. And that's when you make that brigade orders roll. Okay.
Okay.
So flipping down here. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Okay, so yeah, we have march orders, advance orders, and attack orders. If your unit has been assigned a march order, then it doesn't go with the unit activation. It goes with the march chit. Okay? And then on that march chit, you can declare 1 to 4 movement phases. This is why I would never play without the fatigue rules, because there's no reason to do anything other than 4, right? Because you're not tracking it. But every time a unit activates, if it does something, right? If it's not passing, maybe it's passing. If it's actually doing something, then that brigade gets a fatigue. Okay, that fatigue starts at like a non-existent level, then it goes to 0, then it goes to 1, then it goes to 2, then it goes to 3, then it goes to 4. And every one of those levels is a penalty to, for example, firepower. So if you have a unit with a strength of 10 at fatigue 3 and it actually shoots, it will be shooting with a 7, right?
Right, okay.
So we were talking before, just before we started, I think, about how I can't find the fatigue markers in this module either. So that's weird, but I think there's probably workarounds, and it might be something that we can ignore for the purposes of the training scenario. All right, so there is on the player aid cards, there is an orders comparison chart. Right. No, I am wrong. It is, in fact, on page 8 of the current version of the rules. There's an orders comparison chart that tells you, depending on what orders you have, how many movement you get. The road movement rate, by the way, the special road or pike movement rate, is only used in march move. Okay? But if you're in march orders, you can't get more than 4 hexes. You can't go within 4 hexes of an enemy unit. If you're on advance orders, you actually cannot move adjacent to enemy units, except artillery. If they're artillery, you can do it. So if you actually want to move adjacent and like engage in a melee, then you have to be in attack orders.
Okay.
The stacking. Let's talk about stacking. I don't know how important that will be in this scenario. Stacking is done by strength points. This is something that changed in this version of the rules, too. So for infantry, stacking is normally 15 strength points. All right? There are units in the system with more than that. I can tell you that, because there's some in the Gettysburg game. A lot of those real big and real green Union regiments. If you are forced, you can, however, split a unit. So check out, I'll pull out 9th Texas here, okay? 9th Texas, for whatever reason, they feel like they want to, they feel like they need to do this for whatever reason. They can actually extend into a second hex, okay? Like that.
Got it.
And then each of those hexes effectively has 3. They can fire together for 6, assuming they're firing at a target that's within their range.
Right.
But each of those hexes will have 3 manpower. Now, this is particularly important for march move units, because in march mode, the stacking limits go, or I should say, in under march orders, the stacking limit goes down to 7. So let's say 9th Texas here is in march mode. We will actually use 25th Alabama for this, because it's got more than 7. So what we end up having to have is an extended column.
Right.
Which means that he's got 5 that you round in favor of the physical counter. Okay?
Right.
So in this case, it's 9 and 4. Or it's 9. You cut in half is 4.5. So you round up. 5 is on the physical counter, and the other 4 is in the extended column.
So question, if he was there like that marching, let's say we had these guys too, all right? And let me clone it. Let's put them on the road, right? Boop, 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 boop.
Right.
Could both those extended columns
overlap? No.
Yes. Oh, okay. Got it. Okay.
And you put the by convention, I guess. You put the physical unit in the front, just so you know where it's going. But if it's an extended line and they're in line, then that's not always possible. Sometimes it gets a little confusing. Now, we do have facing in this system, obviously, as is typical for regimental level Civil War. So we will find that we have to rotate. I'm going to highlight something here. That we have to rotate pieces here and there from time to time. That's another thing I should mention.
You're facing the. It looks like you're facing the.
You're facing
the corner, not the hex side. Correct?
Yes, you are facing the vertex, not the hex side, unless you're in march mode or you're under march orders. Then you face the hex side, and that does something really clever, actually, because what that means is that you have 3 rear hexes instead of 2.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. Yeah, I like it. And it also provides, at this scale, the correct vantage of fire for like the 25th Alabama there, right? Yeah. It's not a narrow corridor. It's like that. Mm-hmm. It spreads out. And I'm sure that's how they do the line of sight for where you can fire at stuff. Right. Okay.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. So you've got a basically 60-degree fire window in front. 60? Is that 120 degree fire window in front of you instead of 60, although march units can't really fire anyway. So now you can be like caught in march mode and end up switching orders, but you might still be strung out on the road with half your strength points in the back, right? So
no, I get it. Berg was just giving them extra vulnerability. While they're in march mode.
It's really pretty clever, actually. All right, so let's see. So if you're in, all right, so we've covered orders. I feel like I'm having a little bit of trouble with the module, unfortunately, but...
In what way? What's it doing to you?
Well, it's missing the fatigue stuff, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, and while you were explaining that, I opened up just another scenario. There's no Johnston.
Huh.
Or Johnson. Yeah, like in the campaign. Now, it may be a special rule thing, but I don't think so. You know, I think Johnson's
think so.
missing. Right.
Well, in any event. All right, so I'm going to reload.
And the activation markers, though, I'll say this, they're not specifically built for each leader, so you could always just, like, use somebody else.
As long as that person has the same number, that's true.
Right.
All right. I've reloaded the scenario.
Okay, I'm going to get out. And I'm going to rejoin. No, I'm not going to save that game.
And then we see, I think the Battle of Murfreesboro proper is December 31st of 1862 to January 1st of 1863.
Yeah, I think meeting engagement is the campaign.
Yeah. So so this is like a little skirmish that apparently occurred before that. This is December 30th. And as you can see, we have roughly... looks like we got part of a Union division versus part of a Confederate division. So looking at the Kepi screen, I'm going to call it the Kepi screen.
All right.
Okay.
The draw pools. Got it.
Yeah. And then let me look at the scenario here real quick. So my question then becomes, Okay. So Davis and Cheatham both have 4 activation markers for the turn. This whole thing lasts 1 turn, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, so you've got 3 brigades. A Union has 3 brigades. And the Confederates have 2, but they're larger brigades.
Okay.
As you would expect.
I wonder if they have this. They don't have the sequence of play in this thing. Let me.
It is a pretty simple sequence. It's not here, but it is a pretty simple sequence of play because there's an initiative segment where we determine initiative, which is a die roll. There's an orders segment where we issue orders and do some of order-related things. And then we get to the activation segment, which is 95% of the turn. And then there's an end-of-turn segment where there's, again, some housekeeping stuff. And then that's
right.
It. So the vast majority of what
rule.
we do is in that activation phase.
Okay.
So we do have to... I'm looking for initiative. Union player has the initiative. All right, so normally there's a die roll for this. And it's a straight D10 roll, except that if you won it last turn, you get a +1. And I think if there's a tie, you just re-roll.
Okay.
So the Union player has the initiative. So what this means is that the Union player can pick which activation marker gets pulled first. All right? So in this case, apparently, whoever designed the module, Alan, has decided that it's going to be Davis. So let's say it's going to be Davis. So I'm going to look at Davis's right wing. All right, so that's... Put that back there for now. So how do we handle this? Hold on a second. Because it looks like we do have some special command rules. Why am I drawing for Davis, for example?
I don't think those are... those may not be set up accurately. We may need to do that. Because I don't think you got Davis out. No, you do.
I'm just going to pull everything apart and see what we got.
Okay.
This is seems about right.
Yeah, it looks right. So you've got David. All right.
Okay. It's because of the scenario.
Right.
So we're activating Davis or Cheatham, right?
Right.
rather than the individual brigades.
Oh, so that's why he's got Davis out.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, look, you've got the initiative, and you got to pick one, and you don't have many choices. It's it's all Davis. Right.
All right.
Okay.
Now, how do I put this?
I think you just, yeah. I think if you just plop them.
Okay. All right. I think that's right. All right. So it looks like that I'm moving the entire Union, potentially moving the entire Union force.
Okay.
All right, so the first thing that I need to do, so before we get to the activation phase, we're going to do the orders segment, okay, which is that activation efficiency determination is where we draw the efficiency chits for each command, all right?
Okay.
Then we do division orders. So it is at this point that I will issue orders to the different units, okay? So let's say that posts, and it's by brigade, so...
Oh, I see. So it's like you give your orders, and then, well, who knows what order they're going to be carried out in, right? Or,
Right, exactly.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure we need to do advance orders here for everybody at this point. Let me check one thing. All right, so units in attack orders need to use attack movement, which I think means that they move half. I'm verifying that.
Looks like they don't have the terrain effects chart in here too. That's a fail.
In the module?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, MA is halved, and you don't get anything resembling road movement costs. You also can't cross bridges or fords in attack mode. So I think what we'll do is we're going to actually...
Speaking of which, well, let's look at terrain first.
Okay.
That we're dealing with, and because we didn't discuss
I have
that.
the TEC in front of me.
Okay, and you know what? There's a terrain key off to the side. So at least
so you can tell what stuff is.
Yeah, and I have the game. I could go get that stuff myself. Later. I can rely on you now. It's just sitting in another room. All right, so we have different levels of elevation. All right.
Yeah.
I see that. Right. And then town, clear, orchard, woods, cedar. Okay. All right, down with that building. Okay.
Yeah. There is one other thing we need to talk about before we get to doing stuff here, and that is the universal disorder roll. Okay. So this is how we test. Let's say you do a combat result. For example, there's various circumstances that can cause this, but one of them is moving through woods. So if I have a unit that moves through woods, he may be automatically disordered at the end. If it's cedars, if it's regular woods, if it's just infantry, this doesn't happen. But if it's, say, cavalry or artillery, it does. Then he might have to make a universal disorder die roll to see if he becomes disordered. And that is just a D10. You are trying to get that unit cohesion or less. That's all that's all that is.
Okay.
All right. So I think we're going to go with the advance orders. All right. So
all right.
Because we want full movement here. Now, woods costs 2 for infantry to move through. Let me zoom in just a wee bit. All right, so we're going to go, and we've got 6s here, so we're going to go. All right, so when I move here, I have to move in a front hex, all right? So I'm looking at 15th Wisconsin right now. Okay, under Carlin's brigade. So he has to move into one. He could not move too, but if he moves, then he has to move into one of the 2 hexes to his front. All right.
Okay.
You can get 1 free rotation. All right, for the turn, and then every other for per hex actually. So what I could do here is I could rotate this guy. Let's see. Rotate, and then remember he has to face the hex spine, and then I could move him.
Right.
And then I could rotate again for free, and then move him. If I want to rotate more than 2, then I have to pay a movement point to do it. More than 1 hex spine.
Okay.
All right. So let's undo one more. All right, one more. All right. So he's going to advance. He's going to go 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Right.
You do have the ability to do opportunity fire here, but woods are blocking terrain. Okay.
Right.
So 21st Illinois is going to go 1, 2. All right, we're going to have to do something slightly fancier here. So we're going to go. Why is it? Oh, I'm not using control. That's why. You're going to go 1, 2. That's free. 1, 2. Well, these are 2 hexes apiece. So I rotated 2, for free, 4. And then I went 2, 4, 6, and then I'll rotate 1 more for free.
Okay.
To end up like that. All right. Now you'll notice that Carlin's. Let me move the unit under Carlin, and I'll show you something. 1, 2, 3. All right. You'll notice Carlin's command range is 4.
Right.
All those units are not within 4. That 15th Wisconsin is not within 4, but it's adjacent to another unit that is within 4.
Got it.
So the whole unit, every counter in the unit doesn't have to be within command range. As long as there's a chain of adjacency into the command range, then he's cool.
Okay.
Okay. And we're going to put Carlin up here. Okay. And then we'll move advance. And all right. And I do 1 brigade at a time. And it looks like there's brigade artillery here too, which we're going to have a really hard time deploying. Leaders have 10 movement, by the way, normally. But you don't move division leaders now. You move them at the end of the turn.
Right, I saw that. It's the last phase, the cleanup.
Yeah.
You can move all your leaders around. Right.
All right, so... we're going to have to do this way, I think. All right, so we're going to do... you got to use the hotkeys for this. This guy's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's going to end up with... I think too much stacked in the hex.
So in terms of line of sight, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
does the forest add 1 level to the... You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
To the hex of the guy?
Okay. It does.
So basically, you got to get to 3214 to even be able to shoot, from what I can see. Or
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. That's the one. That's a sweet spot for this scenario.
So 1, 2, 3, 4. Five. 6, 7, 8. He is going to be... This is... Okay, I got to look at the actual terrain key now because this is a color thing. Hold on. All right, the dark green are cedars.
Right.
Cedars will automatically disorganize. So this guy's going to flip. I don't see a way around that.
Well, like I did say, if you moved... Well, it gives you a narrow axis of fire, so never mind.
Yeah.
I'll shut my mouth. You could go to 3214, but you've only got a 60-degree... Because you'll shoot over the trees.
Yeah.
You know? But... Yeah. I don't think you have a choice. Yeah.
So we'll put Carlin over here then, so that everybody's within range. All right, so that's Carlin's brigade. Let's move Post's brigade next. And we're going to go... Rotate for free. 1, 2... 3, 4, 5, 6.
Now, is there opportunity fire?
Yes.
I think I would like to try to do some with my artillery.
All right, let's look at that.
Now, does it occur when you end your move, or...
No, it moves. Well, let's look at that, actually. That's a bit of a nuance, and I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. All right, so in this system, what that's called is non-phasing fire.
Right.
Because I am the phasing player. You are the non-phasing player.
Right.
All right. So, non-phasing fires. Opportunities. Non-phasing fires available to units under advance and attack orders. You actually should have, in that phase of the division orders, you actually should have given orders to your units as well. I should have mentioned that.
Okay. Yeah, that's the thing. All right, so let me see here. They're all going to be under attack orders.
Okay.
I won't even put the marker down. Everybody's under attack.
All right.
Following?
So any given unit can only fire non-phasing fire once per enemy brigade activation. Okay. So let's say that Loomis's guys had taken shots at Carlin's brigade. Well, we're in a different brigade activation now.
Gotcha. Right. So you're ending your movement there. I think the thing to do is for Loomis's brigade, the artillery that's sitting on the road there, is going to take a shot at him.
Okay, so what is that? That is a Napoleon's.
Yes.
All right, so what's the range? That looks like 8 hexes?
It's hard to see. Where is range on these? You know what? Where is the...
There's no range on the counter.
Okay.
It's on it's on the range table.
The range table for the game, right?
Yeah. So because it's Napoleon's, if you're at 4 or less, there's a bonus. If you're at 17 or more, there's a bonus. You're 8 hexes away, so there is no bonus.
Okay.
All right. So look at the fire table.
All right.
And let's look at...
They don't... Wow, he doesn't have any of the tables in this thing. You know what? Let me just go get my game flare. I'll be right back.
Okay.
It's like 2 minutes.
All right, so we're pretty much going to finish. We'll play today until we finish our test run here. Confederate player is it? What is the actual victory condition? I actually didn't check that. Hell, for all I know, the Confederates are on the attack. It doesn't seem like it, but... Side with more collapsed or routed regiments at the end of the scenario, if any loses. Okay, so Just shoot people is the victory condition for this particular scenario. Again, this is the introductory learning scenario type thing. Interesting. So based on this range table, I wonder if we should be using the... I think we should be. The Dead of Winter tables, because the Dead of Winter tables has max range on Napoleons is 21, and these, which are from Death Valley, use a max range of 11. So that makes me think that this is a very different table, actually. That makes me think that the hex scale is different. But there's rifles, there's at least small arms on the Stones River table that's not on this one. There's a list somewhere of which tables you should just retrofit to all the previous games in the series and which ones you shouldn't.
Yeah, I just realized I spent $100 on this thing aftermarket, so we're definitely going to be playing this.
Well, that's fine too.
Yeah. So let me see. Series rulebook, Dead of Winter battle book.
Yeah, you want the player aid card, the fold out one. It's on the inside. The range numbers are very different on this table than they are in the Death Valley table. I think that probably indicates that they're a different hex scale.
Right. All right. So AM. All right. So let me root through here. I don't need the Union AM sheet.
No, you just need the terrain effects chart, which on the back of which is the second disorder table. Which one we should definitely be using the new one. I could tell you that.
So I've got a player aid card with
yeah, look inside
here. Fire table, range effects.
Yeah, that's what we're working on.
The bifold, I'm going to need that. So I'm getting everything we're going to need for this.
Okay.
All right. I there's a second copy, which is wonderful. I feel like I'm doing an unofficial unboxing as we're doing this. Turn record track. Don't need that. Don't need the Confederate AM sheet. Do need the tech and the second disorder table. Right.
Yes.
And the series rulebook we've got online, but I'm going to keep the Dead of Winter battle book handy, and that is that. The maps are nice. There's a lot of maps, and they're nice quality.
Yeah, it's 4-map game. It's a big game. I was looking at the GMT page for it today, and I'm like, is this in print? Because it's marked on sale, but it's marked on sale. It's also out of print.
No, this is one of those where I actually like. I think we were talking about it was the MMP sale for Crete, right? Where it's like, I looked around aftermarket, right, and I bought it from somebody in Britain, but the price was cheap enough so that even with shipping from Britain, it was cheaper than the crazy prices I was seeing on like eBay and whatnot.
Okay.
Yeah, the Repay or Noble Knight Games, the Rapacious.
Yeah, I mean I'll tell you what, apropos of nothing we're doing here, but the prices for used games or whatever on war games on eBay are just crazy now. And Noble Knight's probably part of that, but they're not the only ones doing that. I saw a copy of the Guardians of Order Tecumseh Empire of the Petal Throne RPG. This had been from about 2005. I'm totally spitballing that date, but something like that. Right? It's out of print. Obviously, the company's gone away. They had it for like $800. I'm like, man, I got 3 copies of that thing.
That's flipping crazy talk.
Yeah, that wasn't Noble Knight. That was somebody else. I want to say that was those people that sell magic cards, which I know is completely unhelpful. But something like
let's
that.
see. So I should be looking at the range effects chart. Okay.
Yeah. So notice that the ranges are all different here. So we better use the Stones River one. So we're just is this Rodman? Robertson. All right. So Robertson's battery is opening up with non-phasing fire on 22nd Indiana. All right.
Right.
They're at 8 hexes, which for Napoleons is not a penalty. Okay.
Right.
The maximum range for Napoleons is 21 hexes, which is clear across the map pretty much.
Right.
So you're just going to roll. You're going to roll on the artillery column so you got 6 firepower. You're going to roll at 6. And it's a D10.
Artillery.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we go.
All right. So you rolled I got to look that up. Is it a 0 or is it a 9? Hold on. Well, I'm glad it was the first die roll. The 0 is a 0, not a 9. All right. So then do we have the CRT in the module?
No, we do not.
Oh, okay. So we can't show it to the stream. Sorry about that. Please follow along at home. You could download this. But the numbers you get might be different. So that is going to be, well, let's look at modifiers. All right. So there's no modifiers due to range. He's in the open, so there's no modifiers due to terrain. He is not a massed target. That is artillery firing at 8 or more strength points at 4 or more hexes.
You're not. I'm gonna try to participate so I start to feel this. Okay, it's not. You're not non-phasing mounted cavalry.
Right.
You're not. It's not flanking. It looks to. I can see it's not going through a flank hex.
It's coming in through the front.
Right. So it's not prepared fire. It's not from breastworks. The artillery is
on the same level.
Yeah, we're on the same level. None of the other stuff applies. It's not night. Nobody's dispersed. It's not green infantry. Yep. Straight up, just roll.
All right. So it's a 0, which means it's nothing.
Right. Okay.
So it's a null result at that. Now that guy is done for during this brigade activation is done with opportunity fire. Although the unit behind him,
right,
could technically do up. Well, it is. Well, it's a different battery too. So that's not by brigade. That's by unit, right? So let's say I came within 3 hexes. That Alabama Rifle Company regiment could absolutely do fire.
It's funny they don't have a non-phasing fire counter.
That's true. However, I will tell you that in playing Gettysburg in this system, we didn't really feel like we needed it.
Okay.
And we didn't really feel the absence of it.
If you don't for a game that,
and it's a lot bigger than this, right?
All right, continue with your moves, sir.
All right. So I think I already did my rotation over here. I totally did. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Rotate again. 5, 6, 7, 8. Ooh. Looks like we're not moving this far. They have movement of 6.
Okay. Right. So your other guy who just showed up on the road, the other battery is going to take a shot at.
Absolutely not. He was shooting through his own 2 levels of his... Oh, is he up a level?
Yes. No,
he's not.
Let me get rid of the terrain.
If he were up a level, then he totally could. But right here, he cannot.
I am up a level.
You're talking about Scott's battery?
Yes.
That is on exactly the same level as Robertson's battery.
Is it? Okay.
It totally is.
Never mind. All right.
1 hex back would be up a level.
Okay.
All right. And then, look at that. All right. Oh, by the way, in addition to that number of that 15 strength points, you can also put 1 battery of artillery in a hex. So that's significant.
Okay.
All right. So, gotta hotkey this rotation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7. There will be occasions when the unit on top becomes important, so put artillery on the bottom.
Got it.
Okay. And then this guy can go... A really experienced player of this system could probably just fudge this with the rotations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. but I wouldn't call that myself that.
6.
6. Well, that's what we'll have to be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll end up there, like that. And then we'll put post here. Keep them under advance orders. So in principle, we got artillery that could fire. However, in order to do that, I'll have to be able to change their orders, because they cannot fire in advance under advance orders. All right. Now, normally, let me emphasize this: we would be moving one of these brigades one of these commands at a time. So we wouldn't necessarily, it wouldn't take quite this long. This is all I'm trying to say with that. This guy will move with cavalry. I guess he's commanded by Davis, though, so I can move him now. Let's see what he can do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But there's plenty of time to have rotated him. So 9. Just throw him there. And then we'll see if we can get Woodruff's units in position here. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he's got to pay a movement point to get out of facing the woods. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right there. Can't stack those together, so he's going to have to stop there. And then this one can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm perfectly happy with where Woodruff is at this time. So that is the first activation.
All right.
So you are now going to draw a marker from the kepi.
I shall draw a marker from the kepi.
And just stack him on top of Davis.
It's Davis
So
again.
it's Davis again. Okay. Thinking about it, it might be better if this particular learning scenario didn't use the fatigue rules. Just because we're going to need 4 actions to make anything happen here. All right, so I am going to try to change. We're gonna activate Post's Brigade first, and I'm going to try to change orders. Now, I'm going to roll I'm going to attempt to change it, and I'm going to add that number at the bottom in the white square, which is 0 for post. So I'm going to roll and see what happens. All right, so I had a 7. If I got a 6 or... Okay, so DRMs are... If they're stacked with the division leader, they get a bonus. If they're stacked with a corps overall commander, they get a bonus. And then their orders
change orders table. Okay.
Yeah.
So your rating is 0.
Right. So there's no modifier from that. So and I rolled a 7, so I can change orders. They will change to attack orders. Which means they're at half movement. Now, bear in mind, you can choose to do reaction fire or non-phasing fire here at pretty much at any time at whatever unit you want. It's all going to kind of be the same because you're going to be in the same range band regardless of who you fire at. So, all right. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, we're going to do fire on the first guy who moved.
Okay, that's this guy up here. That's 24th Illinois.
Right, 24th Illinois.
All right, so that's his Robertson, I assume. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm pretty sure you could see him.
Yep.
So we're basically the same type of roll we had last time. There's essentially no modifiers. You're on the same column as last time.
And here we go.
Okay, so now you got a 7. So the result for a 7 is a D plus 2. So here's what happens. 24th Illinois' cohesion is a 6. So they roll a die. This is a universal disorder die roll at a plus 2. Right. I had plus 2 to the die roll. So the total die roll is 8. They are therefore disorganized.
Okay,
and you'll notice all their stuff went down. Their movement went down. Their cohesion went down.
Okay.
All right. So that's the end of post, however. So let's posts. So change this to attack. Oops. Oh, that's funny. The orders counter has 3 sides.
Huh.
You keep flipping it. You get attack, march, and advance. All right. So our intrepid unit cavalry here is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. See what kind of cavalry stunt we can pull.
Okay.
All right, we're going to activate Carlin's unit next. Here we're going to go 3, 4, 5. Six, 7. They're very brave artillery.
They are extremely brave.
All right, so. Oh, do they make a second disorder check on that? They might.
What, forgot? Yeah, you went through another hex of cedars.
All right, well, I guess we're going to get to see the second disorder table then. Second disorder comes from... So when we look at this table, what we're looking at is whether there's a roll or not, at a unit that is disordered again after it was already disordered. Okay? It's exactly what it sounds like. Okay, so actually we actually can't do any of that. We have to stop. We basically get moved to move 1 hex, and they're forced to stop.
So I'm looking at the second disorder from...
The one you're looking for is... And how it works depends on the cause of the second disorder.
Right.
The one we're looking for is movement or retreat into D or DX terrain.
Okay. Stop movement. Retreat in hex. Got it.
So and you apply that for this terrain. You apply it at the end of the hexes. At the end of you moving into that hex.
Top unit disorders. I'm looking at. Okay, so somebody gets a second disorder because the guy on top disordered. The guy in front, basically. Fire table disorder somebody a second time. Do this stuff. Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
All right.
I like it. It's clean. It's very Bergian. right? You know, so a
Oh, very
second
much
sorter
so.
means something else, and here's a table for it, right? Okay.
All right, so we're gonna go 2, 4, 6. 2, 4, 6. Does that little stream have a movement impact? Probably no. Actually, it does. It's +1.
Yeah,
Well, I didn't cross it, so it's fine.
indeed it does. Okay.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2. And that's as far as we can go. I'm counting hexes here, not movement points, obviously.
Right.
Well, I may have hosed this cavalry up. That might have just been a terrible idea. So that's fine, whatever.
What, the artillery? You
That
mean?
artillery, yeah, that second Minnesota artillery. They're just probably going to be bunged up. There's nothing I can do to help it. All right, so here we go. Let's rotate. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and end up rotating.
Hey, Tweezers, how you doing? Good to have you in, Alan. Okay.
These guys are going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These guys are going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so that's the end of that.
All right, that's the end of it. All right, let me
Yeah,
hit the.
and I can move Davis at this time, and I will. I can't move McCook, or is Davis considered a division commander here? Let me check something.
He's a division. Well, that's his rank.
All right, well, then he can't move yet.
Okay.
You move division commanders. You move brigade commanders with the units. You move division commanders during the leader movement phase after the action phase.
All right.
All right, so draw another chit.
I shall. Now we flip it.
Cheat 'em.
That is, well, who else would it be, right?
Right, exactly.
Right. So we are going to. Everybody's on attack, which means half movement, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So these guys.
Artillery cannot move and fire, by the way.
I got it. So these guys are going to go 1, 2. And we don't have a whole lot more movement that we would like to do at this time, but we are going to do a little facing changing. No, we'll do him last. I'm going to get up 5 for this. We're certainly going to do this. Come here, Loomis. Yeah, we like those guys facing that way, and I think we like those guys facing that way, and that's pretty much it. We just wanted to trim out our line a little bit. And, well, what do we want to do with this guy? Stacking is 7, you said, correct?
15.
15.
15 strength points of infantry, plus you can also stack one artillery battery there. Seven is for if you're in march orders.
Right. Okay. I think we are going to do a little moving for 2. So he's moving 2 to there,
Mm-hmm.
and he's moving 1, 3. Get a little tactical with you. You can advance if you want. And that is it for my activation. Would you like me to draw from the Kepi?
Vaughn's not doing anything?
Who?
Your other brigade.
Oh, I did. I just no. They're
Okay,
fine where
okay.
they are. I'm happy with
Well,
them.
you can shoot those though. I figured you want to do that if nothing else.
Oh, well, I'm certainly going to yes. So, what is the range on I need to know the range of them weapons, don't I?
For
Rifle.
12-pound howitzers.
Oh, you're just talking about the artillery. Yeah, I'm going to shoot
Everybody else is out of range.
Right, I'm going to shoot the artillery at the 22nd Indiana. All right, so it's like the other roll. It's just a straight up roll on the fire table. You follow me? It's the Napoleons.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna say I think you're fine. Never mind. All right.
So here we go. A 3. I think
All
it's a
right.
miss.
Okay. So which one was firing?
The one on the bottom.
All right.
And he's got a strength of 6.
That's the Napoleons. Okay, gotcha.
Right.
All right. So your strength 6, 3 unmodified 3 is going to be a D-1, and you're firing at 22nd Indiana. So I got to roll, and I subtract 1 from that roll.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So he's fine.
Okay. That is it for that activation.
Okay.
So I will pull another. Looks like it's Cheatham again. All right. Well, guess it's time to do this.
Okay. Now that never mind. You're in infantry. Infantry don't suffer from that. Forget it.
Right. I figured.
Infantry can move through the woods, basically. Cavalry or artillery can move through the woods, but they may be disordered or possibly mandatorily disordered at the end of each hex.
1, 2. 1, 2. And other than that, we're just gonna open fire with the Napoleons again on the 22nd Indiana.
Okay.
That's not gonna. Well, maybe
that is a D-3.
Yep.
So he is totally fine.
And then we're gonna open up with the guy on top.
The 12-pound howitzers. On the same target?
Yes.
All right. 12-pound howitzers at range 7 are still 0.
Okay. So it's another. This is just like the Napoleons. Here we go. An 8's a good roll.
An 8 is a much better roll for you. That is a D plus. It's only 4 though. It's a D plus 2. It's still a pretty good roll. All right. So we roll again. Plus 2. That's a 3. So he has a pass with flying colors. Those Indiana boys are very brave.
Alrighty then. So now we are going to draw from the Kepi again.
Looks like it's Cheatham again.
Yep. And all we're really going to do is fire. We're going to keep firing at the 2nd Indiana.
Okay.
So we'll start with the. I can't combine the strength.
Well, you can, but I believe in this case because they're from. So you can. However, they're actually not firing in the same activation because they're different units.
Okay.
So in this case you can't. But let's say you had two different artillery battery counters for out of Vaughn's brigade.
Right.
Then yeah, you could absolutely combine them if they're in the same hex.
All right. Well, here come the Napoleons. A 5.
5. That is going to be a straight little D. Straight big D would mean they're automatically disorganized. They're feeling great.
All right, and here comes the on the 4 table the
12
Howard.
pounders.
Yes, here we go.
Okay, so
6.
6 on the 4 table is also a straight little D. So we're still good.
Okay, so I shall draw again. Draw. Wow, here we go.
That looks like it's Davis. All right,
It's Davis
so
times.
let's see. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3. And we're gonna take some really assy shots.
Okay, before you do that, we got 2 opportunity fires.
You can, yeah, that's true.
So we're gonna pop a shot at the 22nd Indiana with the Napoleons when they're in the hex where the 8 value guy is.
I'm going to point out that while you can take that shot, and maybe you want one of those shots to go off, that 24th Illinois is already, or 74th Illinois, I can't really read it from here, is already disorganized. You are better off shooting at him.
Yes, but I want to shoot at him with the 12 pounders.
Okay. That's
So,
fine.
right,
All
right.
Just the Napoleons then are shooting at what looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 X's.
Right.
Same deal, just straight roll.
2.
That is a D -3.
Right.
He is fine.
All right. And then, yeah, and we're going to do the 12 pounders against that guy. That is 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's a 0, actually. There's no extra bonus for 4 hexes with those guns.
So here we go.
All right,
4.
4. That is a D -2. Now, he's still got to roll pretty low here because he's got a reduced cohesion. He rolls a 1. He's okay.
Okay. All right. Continue with your move.
All right. All right. That is all of the moving. There's 1 fire action.
Okay.
5th Wisconsin battery of also 12-pound howitzers is going to open up on the 25th Alabama. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hexes away. That is a -1. However, it is a flank shot. So that's worth a +1. So it's a straight-up roll with 6 factors. Let's see what we do. Nope.
Nothing.
That would be enough.
Okay.
All right. So that's the end of him. Let's take the roll. I'm going to go 1. Okay, so now we're moving on to a different brigade activation. Bear that in mind.
Okay. Right.
We'll put this here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Nah. It's only 6. He's only moving 6. This guy's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, that's it for Woodruff. I feel like I've approached this incorrectly, given the amount of actual chits I will get to move, and given the amount of time this scenario actually lasts. All right, so our second Minnesota.
Yeah, I kind of thought to myself,
I'm like,
why?
1, 2, 3,
I kind of thought to myself, like, you're
5.
really dispersing yourself, is what I thought to myself.
Oh, yeah. All right, because we want to see... we want to see shot combat, too.
Right, we're going to fight.
So
right.
we're going to have that happening right now.
You go for it.
So,
Carlin is going to impetuously and do something he probably should not do. I've got you. But you got to change your orders.
I do. So let's roll that. Carlin is a 0. He rolls a 4. Oh, let's see what that is.
Loose cannon.
All right. Loose cannon, 6.2.4.
And that's in the general rules, correct?
Should be. All right. Is he aggressive? He is not aggressive. He is normal.
Okay. How do you tell that?
So, because he doesn't have like a special thing on him that says he's aggressive.
Got it.
Or cautious. So he just retains. That's a retain, essentially. So he's not that loose of a cannon. But if he's aggressive, then he could flip to attack orders, regardless whether you wanted him to or not. So they're not doing anything. They retain their advance orders, but they can move guys up. So we'll go here. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and like that.
And pirouette around 8 times. All right, so when you move into that hex, we are going to give you some opportunity fire from the 19th Alabama.
Okay, you can totally do that. All right, so they're armed with rifles.
Right.
And at 2 hexes, they are at a +1.
Okay, so we've got we got a strength of 8, and we've got a.
Hold on, we need to check that. There's a certain amount of firepower that you're allowed to send out of 1 hex at a time, and I think it's 7. But let me verify that that's the number. Joe Prez is right. Carlin says N, which means he's normal. You'll see it if you look at Woodruff. You'll see he has a C, which means he's cautious. And what about Post is normal too?
It says, I see a thing here that says non-phasing fire eligibility.
Where are you seeing that?
At the bottom of the range effects chart. And it says return fire.
Yes.
When fired at.
Yes.
Once per phase.
Yes.
Pre-shock or approach fire for artillery. Any unit that moves within 3 hexes. So I guess I couldn't have been doing those non-phasing fires. You follow?
I see what you're saying. Let me check something.
Which is okay.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And it looks like I can't do any fire with the infantry because you would have to be leaving. It would have to be pre-shock fire. You're not shock attacking.
Pre-shock fire is part of the shock combat process.
Right. Well, it says non-phasing fire eligibility, right? Return. So you didn't fire at me.
Okay. So let's say you see the hex that Carlin himself is in right now.
Right.
All right. Let's say he moves up there.
Right.
You can shoot at him when he leaves that woods hex.
Right.
But you can't shoot at him when he enters that wood hex because the hex he came from you can't see. So yes, that is true.
Okay. So at this time there is no opportunity fire. So
okay.
All right, so that's that, and you've moved everybody.
I believe so.
All right, so I will go to the draw pool.
Yep. Let's cheat him.
Well, you wanted shock combat. Guess what you're gonna get?
You're in attack. All right, so let's look at that because you'll want to know. You'll want to have a fairly decent idea of how this works before you go in, because that will determine the structure of how you go in.
Well, I've got a really good. Let me do it, and then you tell me what happens, because I've got a good idea at least for the first move. You ready? You ready?
Give me 1 second though, because what you may end up with. So I'm going to move 25th into Alabama here. What I want to make sure is that he doesn't have to attack all 3 of the units that are adjacent to him, and I don't think he does. But we've been playing a lot of stuff lately, and I want to make sure I'm right.
Right. And I ain't going to do that. That move isn't even going to occur.
Okay. Well, that may not be a move that you want to do.
Right.
Okay. So, are you activating Vaughn first?
I am activating Loomis.
Okay.
Okay. But this guy's going to go here for 3.
Okay. All right. So you have. What do you got there? Is that 2 units? Yep, that's 2
Yes.
15. Nice one. All right. So let's go through. So we're going to do this exactly like this. You're going to move them. You're
Right.
going to then resolve the shock, and then you can move on to the next unit in that brigade activation. All right. All right. So you're going to designate the first step is you're going to designate the target. It's obvious what the target is.
Right.
We can try to do a retreat before shock. Non-phasing infantry and cavalry about to be shock attacked by infantry may retreat before shock. Infantry or cavalry move 1 hex away, maintaining facing. Cavalry move 2 hexes away. The following may not retreat before shock if you're under attack or march orders, or if you're an artillery unit, or if you're being shock attacked by cavalry. So I could shock here. I could stay back, but you know what? I've also got a pretty strong unit, so I'll stay, and we want to see it too. All right.
All right.
Green attacker commitment check. I don't believe anybody here is green. Let me double check that. No. And I forget what the iconography is for that, but there's something on the counter that tells you when they're green. Defender gets a pre-shock cohesion check. Each designated defending stack does a pre-shock cohesion. All right. So we're an 8. So let's roll it. We got a 5. We have passed the cohesion check. If it fails, then right now the unit would get disordered. Okay, which would obviously be disastrous, because let's just flip him and see what would happen. His cohesion goes down by 1, right? Which is bad. Their cohesion is actually quite high, though.
This is why I did what I did. Action fire, because I'm not in your fire. Right.
All right, so units with shock attackers in their frontal hexes, this is the pre-shock reaction fire. You're not coming in from a frontal hex, so I don't get that. All right, so now we need to determine the shock DRMs. There isn't a leader in either hex, so it's irrelevant. Nobody's in breastworks, nobody's in march mode, nobody's disordered. You do get a +1 from hitting from the flank, and that's it. And you got a 15. You've got a 3 to 2, which is a +1. So you're at a +2 on the shock combat roll. So you're going to roll on the shock. Now hold on. There's more. There's more potential. Oh, that's a defender pre-shock. So I actually got a +1 to that cohesion check, but I made it anyway. All right, so
no, it's
all
all
right. So
it's all defender DRMs, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
so
well,
it's
right.
+1.
Those
it's one
right.
table,
So we're at a +1 going into the actual stuff. Defender disordered charge stack with aggressive leader.
There's a -1 for terrain.
Okay, so -1 for terrain, +3 for flank attack. No, I'm counting. Okay, wait a minute. Let's. Okay, so it's a +1 for odds. All right, it's a -1 for terrain. So right now we're at 0. It's a +3 for flank attack.
Right.
Okay, so that's a +3. And that's it. It's a +3.
Okay.
All right, so you're going to roll on the shock resolution table.
Here we go. An 11.
Okay. So that's an 11. Defender retreats. All right, so here's what happens. Defender retreats 2 hexes. So he's going to go 1, 2. Is disordered. And then he gets another. He rolls on the second. Well, he rolls to see if he's disordered again. And if he is, then he gets a second disorder. So let's check that. And he is okay. Actually, if it fails that extra DDD, it routes. Attacker may continue shock. So let's look at that. This is something that we never really got to at Gettysburg, is continuing shock. All right. Possible result of shock is the ability of the attacker to continue shock by attacking again, or in the case of the defender, counterattacking. How many movement points did you spend to get there?
I spent 2.
Okay. So you're going to... all non-artillery defenders routed. Adjusted shock resolution table is 8 or higher. So you must continue.
Oh, I must?
You must.
Okay.
So move up. Well, until you're out of movement, which is just 1 more hex.
Well, I can't because I don't have. I need 2 more movement points to get into that hex. I'm on attack. So
okay. Yeah, you're half.
Right. So that's that. All right, and we're going to continue with this activation. And we're going to go... And... Whoop, wrong way, buddy. And we're going to do this thingy. Boom. Yeah, we get 2 facing changes, so we might as well take advantage of them.
So you're not shock attacking there?
Yes, we are, against Carlin. So those 2 units are moving into that hex and then shocking him.
Okay, so you have your target. I'll choose not to retreat.
Okay.
Nobody's green. Pre-shock cohesion check, which he fails. So let's see exactly what he does. 337. He's disordered.
Okay.
I need to check something for disordered status.
What regiment is that?
Ugh. Something Ohio. 101st Ohio.
All right.
I mean, that's impossible to read.
I love killing them when they're from Indiana and Illinois, but Ohio, I don't get a special charge out of it. Okay.
Just trying to remember when... If they have a penalty for being disordered for this fire. I don't think they do. All right. I think that's fine. All right. They do, in this case, get a pre-shock reaction fire. All right.
Yes.
So, pre-shock DRMs. There is a leader there, actually. So they're going to get a +1. The leader rank in this case is the number of stars on the counter. Okay.
Right.
So he's going to get a +1 on the pre-shock roll. Okay.
You're basically just doing a small arms roll.
Yes, but it's also yes, exactly. And he is using rifles, but it's also at 1 hex, so it's a +1. So that's a total of +2. And we're shooting with 7 out, so 2. So that's a 4. So that's a little D. So you're going to roll a D10 against your cohesion
for both units.
Yes.
Okay, so the top guy.
So he's fine.
Bottom guy.
Bottom guy will disorganize.
So he is disorganized. Okay.
Okay. Now we do the actual charge. So you got it's going to be a 3-2 again. You got 15?
Yeah.
All right. It's going to be a 3.
No, I have 17.
So you're over the stacking limit.
All right. You're correct. So we're gonna have to do this way. We can still do it.
Yes.
Oh, wrong way. Clockwise. And he's just coming in from here. So
okay, that's fine.
Yeah. All right.
So
we have 17 going after your 9.
You're still looking at a 3-2. So you're going to have a +1. You are going front and flank, so that's worth a +4. There's a -1, so that's +5. There's a -1 for terrain, and defender is disordered. You disordered me, right?
Right.
Okay, yeah, defender is disordered, so that's a +6.
Any attacker disorder. No, that's pro defender, and then that's
any defender
out.
disordered. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I have any attacker disordered, so those cancel out.
Right? Okay, all right, so it's +5. So go ahead and roll it.
A 6, not
6
so hot.
Is a defender retreat. Defending unit retreats 1 hex and is disordered. Okay, so we'll put this back.
And now your second disorder.
Yes, that is a second disorder result. So it doesn't just go away. So this is a shock table result. So I have suffered a second disorder. So I will now roll a UDD. And I've rolled a 4. I think I'm a 5. Is that right? I'm a 5. So I'm actually okay. If I pass, well, I'm not okay. If I pass, I lose a strength point and then retreat 1 to 2 hexes. That's 1 to 2 more hexes, by the way.
Right.
So he's going to go all the way back here. And then we're going to need to get a strength point. He is at 8, so he's going to be at 8. All right. However, if he had failed that, he would rout, which means he just comes off the board. They are scattered.
That ain't good. Yeah.
So, and then routed units can eventually come back in a bigger battle, right? But not here.
I'm pleased with myself. My tactical instincts in Civil War games, having played many, right, came off. You know. All right.
Yeah, and I won't swear that we're not doing anything wrong here, but that's something I can refresh on as well. So.
Yeah. So I feel good with the system.
You're already winning, by the way, because you've done
I?
a strength point of You've done a strength point of damage. Yeah.
We don't even have to play till conclusion of this one if you don't want to.
Well, hold on. Let me check something.
All right. It's just a one-turner
Actually,
anyway, right?
collapsed or routed regiment. So collapsed basically means you've done half the unit in damage. The unit is reduced below half strength.
Okay. So let's see. What do we have?
So, but I think you got the picture of the
the
system. Are there any questions from the stream?
I think it's pretty simple. I like the I mean, basically this is like what I call Goodberg, right? So it's all on the charts, right?
Yeah.
It's all on the charts, and other than that, it's very intuitive. you know?
Yeah.
And then there's just a learning process about how to set up for your activations for the day.
Yeah.
Getting all your chits together and all that stuff. And I think what we did here, you don't really see the magic of the game because you're not getting like, different divisions. Yeah,
Right, and that makes a
Right.
huge difference too. By the way, if you can end up just by the nature of the way the activation system works with a Dan Sickles type of situation where you move Dan out and then the other guy drew the next 5 chits and there you are exposed with your junk hanging out. So
Right.
So that kind of unpredictability kind of naturally flows out of the activation system without necessarily having to put a rule in that says the Confederate player can move a Union unit, an entire Union division.
Right,
for example.
right, exactly, or without having ridiculous script. Basically, what I like about this is there doesn't seem to be a lot of scripting.
Oh, no. In fact, the lack of scripting in certain scenarios anyway does create balance issues, right? I mean, he comes straight out in 3 Days of Gettysburg saying this scenario is balanced in favor of the Confederates because there's no scripting.
Right. And I don't, in I don't want to talk about Gettysburg. We'll find out how this one works.
Yeah. But that's the other one that I've played, so that's the only reason I'm using that particular one as an example.
I think the terrain, as usual, is going to make this one really interesting.
Well, yeah. So if we zoom all the way out and look at, we see that there's a lot of like regular woods and a fair amount of the cedar woods. There's some where it's kind of rolling hills, right? Where there's no like real ridges or anything like that, but there are some high points and some low points. There's definitely going to be room to maneuver around some of this area. I definitely think that the campaign would be pretty interesting. Also, a fairly sizable game, by the way. I mean, like we said, it's a 4-map game.
Yeah, there's a lot of room to stretch your legs on this one.
Yeah,
and maneuver to go after somebody. How big is the Gettysburg map? I'm curious.
It's only 3 maps actually.
Yeah,
it's a lot of counters, but it's 3 maps. Well, yeah, bear in mind system history for Gettysburg specifically, right? I mean, it's kind of the next, at the time was kind of like the new version of Terrible Swift Sword, which was a 3-map game. So, and I think there's a little bit of legacy going on there. I think that's the reason why it's a 3-map game as opposed to a 4-map game. If you recall, and I actually have this sitting on my table right now, although it's not my copy, it's a friend's copy, Rebel Sabers, which was produced by TSR, is a bunch of cavalry scenarios, but there's also a Gettysburg expansion for that you can tack that onto one of the sides of the Gettysburg map and get some of the off-map cavalry actions that happen during the battle as well, which is unusual.
Question: if you're an advance or attack, you don't have to move, right?
No.
Right. I disagree with you, Joe Perez. I think based on scale, and when you're talking about units in the musket and pike, with as horrible as American Civil War command and control was, it's nothing like that era. In terms of like command and control. I think that's just the case. I think a unit that's advancing, which really does reflect the Civil War, has to be careful, or this wouldn't have happened. So Gary was just, we're just trying to mix it up, right?
Yeah. Charge in, get stuck in some places, and show the different parts of the system.
Right, but I wouldn't have advanced, like, knowing the system already, I wouldn't have advanced within that level of closeness, right? Unless, as the Union player, in your shoes, if I was moving through them woods,
mm-hmm.
I would have made sure I was already under attack orders, you know what I mean, before I got to that river.
That's true.
The other thing is, I mean, there's no hidden information. So, and I took advantage basically of that fact. I had this was like a mini Dan Sickles. You popped up there, right,
yeah.
ready to attack, and then I had a couple activations in a row.
Right.
So I was able to move those guys on the flank, right?
Uh-huh.
get them the way I wanted them, and then do a shock attack, So it's the danger of close proximity. I really like the system.
So I agree with you on that. The attack order represents readiness to to engage, rather than attack necessarily. You'll notice there's no defend order, right? If you want guys in defend orders, then you put them in attack orders. If they're just in defense, right? You could build breastworks. That's another thing you can do actually with an activation is build breastworks.
Right. What you're saying is I'm sacrificing movement for readiness for combat. Now, if that combat's offensive or defensive, or like you said, building breastworks, that's up to you.
Yeah. Now there's a charge too, right? So, and we didn't really get to this, but there's some kind of charge mechanism as well. That might be restricted to cavalry, though.
Yeah, from what I could see,
I tried to. It's very hard. I can tell you, it's very hard to be effective with cavalry charges in this game. That's kind of it should be, right?
Well, it ain't Napoleonics,
right? Exactly, exactly.
Right. I don't see any cuirassiers, charging guys with brown besses. So that ain't gonna happen. The let's see here. I think we're good with this module. Mm-hmm. Okay. If we're just gonna need to substitute the Johnson chits, which I'm sure we're just gonna double up. Let's look at the Union OOB. What we're missing is Johnson.
Yeah, I'll have
Johnson's just like Mitchell. So we can just clone Mitchell chits, you know what I mean, and use them for Johnson.
Okay. Oh, hold on a second. I have the physical counter sheet in front of me.
I'm sure they're in the game. It looks like it's just a complete oversight in the module. And I quickly, let me look at the counters, in fact.
But so Mitchell does have a shorter command range than Johnson's supposed to have.
Yeah, but that doesn't affect the AMs for him.
No, it doesn't, but it can affect leader positioning at the end.
Yeah, but we'll know. I mean, because there's a Johnson counter. There just aren't AMs for him.
Yeah. Which makes me want to take the module apart and see if they're in there and they're just not in the menu.
Yeah, well,
that's plausible. Actually,
we got time before we do that again. Oh,
that's true.
That's right. You just got to unzip it, and then let's see here. Yeah, I don't want to mess. I'm playing it right now. We can look at that when we get done. So yeah, I think if we just do that,
there's definitely Johnson activation markers in the physical game.
Yeah. And I'm looking here, and I think, all right, so they have markers for a lot of different things. I'm looking at these. Orders, refuse, must retreat, hero, control, drunk. Drunk is one. Is when you use the fatigue rules, are there different levels of fatigue, or is it just they're fatigued? Or
no, there's 5 different levels of. There's like no fatigue where you don't mark them at all. And then beyond that, there's 5 levels of fatigue, 0 through 4. But, and I feel like it's imperative to not play with fatigue in this particular scenario because it's so short. Because you're going to want to take, you don't want guys to act on all 4 of the activations, right?
Right. I'm thinking like within. Well, wait a second. So we have deployment markers.
Yes, we could use it. We could use
and
those.
They go from 1 to 4.
Yeah, well, we'd need 0 to 4. We can figure something out. There's also we can use notes if it
well, no. Here's what you do. That's 5 fatigue. You can't see it. I plopped it down, but there's no center on opponent's moves. Module needs that too. All right, I'm gonna go over by Carlin here and show you what I'm talking about.
I see where you're at.
So boom, right. So that's 5 fatigue.
Yeah.
You know.
So the way it works is when you.
I wish they had something where you could just easily move it up and down, other than the strength points, and that would be perfect.
That with a context menu, I agree. Especially since maintaining counter orientation between potentially 3 different markers, right? The unit, the fatigue value, and the manpower is, although you fatigue the brigade, right? You don't fatigue individual regiments.
Right.
So you're actually only doing that with 1 counter, but still. You increase fatigue when you activate the unit for a 3rd or 4th time. Okay? So you can say, okay, I drew this guy. It's the 2nd time I've drawn him this turn. I'm going to pass. And then the 3rd time you draw him, you could activate him and not accrue any fatigue. But then on the 4th try, if you fatigued him, if you did take an action or activated for any reason, then you would fatigue them. So you don't gain fatigue for every action, only for actions 3 and 4 in a given turn.
Well, here's the thought. I mean, you're certainly not like the Vassal Master, right?
No.
But if you tear this thing open, and there are so if there are Johnson counters, great, wonderful, right? But if there aren't, we'll make do. My question is this: can you take the strength point thing and just change its color?
But then how do you reference that in the module?
Just create a new counter, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, graphically, yeah, I could totally do that.
And if we created like a new entry for it that's called, you know what I'm saying, fatigue, that kind of solves the problem.
Yeah, I'm going to check something else here, though.
Okay.
So I'm going to load the meeting
another
engagement.
module?
Yeah, the meeting. Well, no, another scenario. The meeting engagement, which is pretty much the whole game.
Yeah.
And it's taking its. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, I checked. I didn't see any of that. It doesn't have Johnson. I know that. It is taking its sweet ass time loading up. It's a big module.
Well, I mean, we have the leader counter for Johnson.
Right.
That's not a problem.
We just need AMs for him. That's it.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's just an oversight. So
I'm sure cool. It is. Yeah.
We can overcome that, and I don't see in meeting engagement. Yeah, I'm looking. There's just, it was built without the exhaustion rules taken into account.
Yeah, looks like that. Like I said, that is an optional rule. Tom DeFranco, how's it going? That is an optional rule, but I personally like the low ammo rule, which also might be an option. I would never want to not play with it. I think low ammo is actually not an option. No, it is. I'm wrong. It's an optional rule, but I'd always want to play with that too. And what happens is that if you roll a natural 5 or 0,
I saw the asterisks on the chart.
Yeah, on the CRT, then you get a low ammo.
So let's do that. So the next time we play, all we have to, if you can just alter one, like clone the strength marker.
We could just write it down too. I mean, you're doing it by brigade, so I don't know that it's a big deal.
Okay. We can always use those deployment markers to note them.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
But bear in mind, there's a difference between no fatigue and 0 fatigue. That's the important distinction, right? 0 fatigue's not giving you a penalty, but you're still fatigued.
Right. No, I've got you. It's just, what? If we use the deployments, that should take care of it.
Yeah.
And and I have no problem playing with low ammo. No, I'm excited about this.
All right.
I'm very pleased with this. So.
All right. So we're going to talk about, Pat and I, once we're done here, we're going to talk about exactly what is happening next week. However, there will, or this week, I guess I should say, there will be a stream tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern and a stream on Friday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. So.
Can we do 6 tomorrow?
Sure, we can do 6 tomorrow.
All right. That was. I hate to do that to you live, but I had forgotten to.
Okay, that's not a big deal. So, all right, and we'll talk about exactly what we're doing. We might be seeing something a little bit different, but one of those 2 streams will be a hot dry season, and the other one will be something. Maybe a hot dry season, but maybe something else. So we'll see.
We'll see.
I would like to thank everybody for coming by today. We got just about 2 hours in, so that's about what we've been doing. So tune in next Sunday. There's also more videos coming on the channel this week, so check those out.
Bye, everybody.